It's Australia Day 2025. Welcome to Canberra for the National Citizenship and Flag Raising Ceremony. I'm your host, Nate Byrne, and I'm joined by your expert commentary team, Brigadier Georgina Whelan and my ABC colleague, Brett Worthington.
It's great to be here with the ABC once again and for you and Brett to join me for the first time. Every year this ceremony is such a delight to commentate, and it's such a special occasion for everyone taking part. 2024 was a massive year. From August through to December, the Australian Defence Force proudly conducted multilateral training, capacity building and engagement with our neighbours across the region. Since its first operation 6 years ago, Indo-Pacific Endeavour has evolved to become Australia's flagship annual engagement activity. With 14 participating countries, these activities ensure a strong Australian presence across our region and reinforce the enduring friendships and partnerships.
It's a pleasure to join the ceremony this morning. Today we will witness 24 people from around the globe, specifically Brazil, France, Germany, India, Nigeria, the Philippines, South Africa, Sri Lanka, the United States of America and Vietnam, all choosing to make Australia their home. By pledging their commitment to Australia, they join more than 6 million other Australians who have had their citizenship conferred since the first ceremony began in 1949.
Now, earlier this morning, the elders representing the traditional custodians of these lands met with the Prime Minister and the Governor-General in a private welcome ceremony at Narangpool, which isn't far from here. The ceremony is an important opportunity to connect, share in ancient traditions and customs, and have conversations about how we can nurture and take care of each other. It was the first time our new Governor-General, Her Excellency the Honourable Sam Mostyn AC, participated in the private welcome, which is now in its 4th year. She is the first Governor-General to be born in Canberra and has long been an advocate for reconciliation. So taking part in the private welcome would have held great significance and meaning for her this morning.
From the deep-rooted traditions of the first Australians to the vibrant diversity imparted from generations of new arrivals, our multicultural heritage is the cornerstone of our strength as a nation. But today we don't just celebrate what it means to be Australian, but the many journeys that have helped shape our shared story.
Very soon, all the prestige and precision of Australia's Federation Guard will be on display, accompanied by the band of the Royal Military College, Duntroon.
Now let's get the 2025 National Citizenship and Flag Raising Ceremony underway.
First onto the parade ground for this year's ceremony is the band from the Royal Military College, Duntroon. Following the musicians, we can see Australia's Federation Guard. Both units look like they've put in significant preparation into their presentation. Everyone is looking absolutely immaculate.
They sure do, Brett. Today, the band of the Royal Military College Duntroon is under the musical direction of their new officer commanding, Major Douglas Hall. He says that leading the band, particularly on an occasion such as this, is a great honour and a proud moment to lead some of the finest musicians in the country on our National Day, and that this will certainly be one of the highlights of his career in the Army.
Band Sergeant Major Warrant Officer Class 1 Sean O'Toole is leading the musicians on the parade today in his role as Drum Major. Originating in the military and dating back hundreds of years, the Drum Major's main task is to control the tempo the band plays at and set the marching pace. Marching is of course an important tradition in the military. It emphasises unity and coordination, and is also a lesson in discipline for the soldiers.
This year, Major Catherine Best's second year as the officer commanding the Federation Guard. She's the first woman to be appointed to the role of Guard Commander and of course did a fabulous job at last year's ceremony. Today, we will see 102 members of the Guard on parade. They've put an incredible amount of work into achieving the meticulous presentation on display today.
The effort was definitely worth it because they look truly magnificent. Australia's Federation Guard is also providing support for this ceremony with 13 members who are flag orderlies, 2 members who are door orderlies, and one member who is on duty here as a photographer. Prior to serving in his current role, the new musical director, Major Hall's career highlights include deploying to Timor-Leste, Papua New Guinea and the Solomon Islands to support training and international engagement. Now, as the musical director of the RMC band, he's looking forward to continuing to support the Canberra region and bringing the community together through the power of music.
Major Hall's advice to young musicians thinking about joining the Defence Force is that it provides a career that is very diverse and offers some terrific experiences that aren't available outside the ADF as a musician. As well as the practical component of the role, the drum major must also be the exemplar for drill and dress and bearing. They need to possess advanced communication skills and have extensive knowledge of parade formats, ceremonial responsibilities and the dress manual.
There's still a lot to look forward to this morning. Soon, Prime Minister, the Honourable Anthony Albanese, will arrive. For the very first time also, we'll have the 28th Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia, Her Excellency, the Honourable Ms Sam Mostyn, AC.
This ceremony is just one of many citizenship events happening all across the country, and I imagine it is quite an emotional day for some of those in attendance, especially for the soon-to-be citizens who have chosen to make Australia their home. For many conferees, it represents the culmination of a long journey filled with challenges, dreams and hard work. Today those dreams will be fulfilled and our newest citizens will be able to officially call Australia home.
Today, more than 14,600 people from over 150 countries have been invited to become citizens at one of more than 280 ceremonies taking place around the nation. At this ceremony alone, we'll welcome new citizens from all corners of the world, namely Vietnam, South Africa, India, Germany, the United States of America, Brazil, Nigeria, France, the Philippines and Sri Lanka.
As the Governor-General mentioned in her swearing-in speech, since the end of World War II, in less time than the average lifespan, Australia has welcomed more than 7.5 million migrants to our country, including 950,000 refugees.
Of the millions of people who have become Australian citizens over the last 75 plus years, I'm going to guess that some of them are watching right now, either on the ABC, ABC Australia or ABC iView. And the ceremony is also being streamed globally via the ABC News YouTube channel.
I begin by acknowledging the Ngunnawal people as traditional custodians of the land we are meeting on and recognising any other people or families with connection to the lands of the ACT and this region. I acknowledge and respect your continuing culture and the contribution you make to the life of this city and this region. I would also like to acknowledge and pay my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are here today or watching at home. Australia Day is an opportunity for all of us to come together, to reflect, to respect and to celebrate. We reflect on the vast tapestry of our history, one that began with the first peoples of this continent, whose stories and song lines traversed every part of this land and the surrounding seas for millennia. We reflect on the ongoing impact of European settlement on Australia's first people, along with the myriad international cultures that have found their home here. We respect each other and what it means to share in this journey. To some, Australia has been a sanctuary. To others, a hard-won opportunity. We reflect on the lessons of our past, on resilience, reconciliation and renewal, and the responsibility we all bear to build a future grounded in both fairness and hope. We also respect the bravery and determination of those Australians experiencing the impact of extreme weather, along with the unwavering commitment of our emergency workers and all who are helping to rebuild their lives. And today, we celebrate. We celebrate collaboration over confrontation in our commitment to this land and its people. We celebrate the shared journey that makes us all Australians, some by chance and others by choice. We are all part of this story. Soon the Prime Minister and the Governor-General will join us. It is now my great pleasure to welcome the Chair of the National Australia Day Council, Mr John Foreman AM, who will greet the Prime Minister, the Honourable Anthony Albanese MP and Ms Jodie Hayden. Please stand, if you are able, for the arrival of the Prime Minister and Ms Jodie Hayden. The Prime Minister will now receive a general salute from the Australian Federation Guard and the band of the Royal Military College, Duntroon.
Australia's Federation Guard, general salute, present arms.
Please welcome the Prime Minister of Australia, the Honourable Anthony Albanese MP and Ms Jodie Hayden. Please remain standing for the arrival of Their Excellencies the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia, the Honourable Ms Sam Mostyn AC and Mr Simeon Beckett SC. The Governor-General will now be received with the Vice-Regal salute, during which personnel in uniform are to salute, and gentlemen are reminded to please remove your headdresses.
Australia's Federation Guard, Royal Salute, present arms.
Please be seated as the Guard Commander, Major Catherine Best, invites the Governor-General to inspect Australia's Federation Guard and the band of the Royal Military College, Duntroon.
Officer Commanding Major Catherine Best will now escort the Governor-General to inspect the Guard. This is the first time Her Excellency the Honourable Sam Mostyn will inspect the Guard at this particular ceremony, having just been sworn in July last year.
She is the second woman to serve as Governor-General of Australia after Dame Quinton Bryce, and I'm sure she won't be the last. Her Excellency specifically acknowledged Australia's Federation Guard in her first speech after being sworn in as Governor-General. She said the Guard's salute to her that morning was a reminder of the deep and long-standing bond between the Office of the Governor-General and the Australian Defence Forces. It's a bond that holds particular significance as her dad was an Army officer who served Australia for almost 40 years.
Sam Mostyn's father, retired Colonel Bill Mostyn, entered the Royal Military College Duntroon in 1952, and he joined the Signal Corps after he graduated in 1955. He was posted to Malaysia and Okinawa early in his career. After stints in Canada and the United States, Mostyn served in Vietnam from 1970 to 1971, for which he was awarded an MBE. He turned 90 last year. I imagine seeing his daughter now serve as Commander-in-Chief of the Australian Defence Force is an incredibly proud moment for the retired Colonel.
Indeed, Miss Mostyn's appointment as Governor-General is the crown and glory of her many achievements. In 2024, Miss Mostyn was appointed a Companion in the Order of Australia for eminent service in the social justice, gender equity, sporting, culture and business sectors, as well as to reconciliation and to environmental sustainability. She had previously been appointed an Officer of the Order in 2021. Now, many Australians would know Sam as the first woman in Australia to be appointed as the AFL Commissioner, where she championed the creation of the women's competition. The AFLW has more than doubled in size since it was first created in 2017.
Good morning. Band of the Royal Military College is ready for inspection.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Oh, you too. Thank you.
Wonderful, man. Congratulations on the new role.
Oh, thank you very much.
Fantastic.
So I'll introduce you to the...
Now, Major Catherine Best will hand over to Major Douglas Hall to inspect the band of the Royal Military College, Duntroon.
Music and musicians have played a vital role in military service for centuries. Instruments like the bugle have been essential for conveying orders, and musicians have historically led troops into battle. Bandsmen have served throughout Australia's wartime history, bringing moments of joy and relief to those on the frontline services and entertaining service personnel behind the lines.
Described by one First World War man as the soul of the battalion, in times of battle, bandsmen have had to work stretcher bearers, leaving their instruments behind, sharing the hazards of serving under fire, and sometimes losing their lives.
In modern times, military bands contribute to the national defence beyond ceremonial duties. They enhance troop morale and act as cultural ambassadors, fostering goodwill and unity. Despite advancements in technology and communication, the human and emotional impact of music remains a powerful asset in military strategy.
Yeah, I think we had about 42 guards, and then the band has had a fair turnover.
Oh, really?
As well. Yeah, so lots of people finding their feet, but so far so good.
Well, we have credentials.
Very soon. Yeah,
so-
next week or the week after.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please welcome their Excellencies, the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia, the Honourable Ms Sam Mostyn AC and Mr Simeon Beckett SC. We now come to a very special part of the National Citizenship and Flag Raising Ceremony. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Traditional Custodian Uncle Warren Daly, Senior Elder of the Ngunnawal Nation, for the Welcome to Country.
Good day. How is all that going out that way? My name's Warren Daly. I'm one of the Ngunnawal Elders, and I'd like to thank the National Australia Day Council for asking me to give this Welcome to Country for the National Flag Raising and Citizenship Ceremony, and it's here at Lake Burley, Griffin, and it's on Ngunnawal country. So Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, fiancée Jodie Haynes, Assistant Minister Patrick Gorman, Governor-General Her Excellency Sam Mostyn, other distinguished guests, 2025 Australia Day Award winners, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I acknowledge my elders, those past, present and emerging, and I thank them for their continuing contributions they have made to life in this city and region. I'd also like to welcome other Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islanders and every nationality attending today's event and listening to today's event. For some of you, if this is your first Welcome to Country, our people have been looking after Canberra for thousands of years. Before entering another person's country, you always announce you arrived and not enter until you're asked to do so by an elder or traditional owner. As in the white man's world, you wouldn't want your neighbour or total stranger entering your home or yard without first asking permission to do so. The reason for this is to protect your spirit when you're on a Ngunnawal country, but it also shows respect to us and the people and the country you've entered. For those of you that have travelled to be with us today, have a safe and enjoyable journey home to your loved ones, and in ending, Ngana Yarrabi Yengu, you're all welcome to leave your footprints in the land of the Ngunnawal people. Thank you very much. Enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uncle Warren, for that beautiful welcome and for your wise and warm words. It's now time for the flag raising part of the ceremony. 2 Australian national flags, 2 Aboriginal flags and 2 Torres Strait Islander flags will be carried to position thanks to 36 flag bearers who have so generously volunteered their time to take part in today's ceremony. And the 2 Australian national flags will be carried on by former Australians of the Year along with their partners and guests. Both Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags will be carried on respectively by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I'm also delighted to welcome the Luminescence Children's Choir, who will sing the national anthem for us today. After the national anthem, the choir will sing the first verse of the Advance Australia Fair in the local Ngunnawal language, which I'm proud to say has become an honoured tradition at this particular ceremony. We'll keep an eye on the situation through the morning as the flags are raised. Hopefully this wind picks up just enough for them to flap in their full glory. First, let's give our flag bearers and the Luminescence Children's Choir a warm round of applause.
We can see the flags being walked on now. And as Nate mentioned, previous Australians of the Year and their partners are carrying the Australian national flags to position.
The 2 Aboriginal flags and 2 Torres Strait Islander flags are being carried on by people representing First Nations across the continent, from Saibai, Bardu, Kuroreg, Erub and Thursday Islands in the northernmost part of Australia to the southernmost mob, the Palawa Nation in Tasmania. From the Yuin Nation of the Sunrise Country on the east coast and the traditional custodians of this land, Ngunnawal country, to the Arrernte and Warlpiri nations in the red centre, through to the Noongar nation of the Sunset country in the west, and from everywhere in between, including the Wiradjuri, the Bundjalung, Yorta Yorta, Kamilaroi, Anyawan, Dunghutti and Jaru nations. Placement of the flag bearers follows cultural and geographic protocols, and the representatives from Ngunnawal country are leading the Aboriginal flag from the east, to Noongar people are leading the flag from the west, while Eastern Torres Strait Islanders, such as Arab Island Mob, carry the Torres Strait flag from the east, and Western Ti Bardu Mob carry the flag from the west. Joining us today are Kelsey Brown. Kelsey is a Ngunnawal youth leader chosen by elders to represent Ngunnawal Nation today. Kelsey has participated in this event since the first time the Aboriginal flag was included in 2023. Also here is Braithen Bell. Braithen is a Ngunnawal youth leader and knowledge holder chosen by his elders to represent his nation today. Braithen also provided a smoking ceremony at the Australian of the Year Awards last night, along with his father, Bradley Bell. Braithen also participated in this event since it first started in 2023 with the inclusion of the Aboriginal flag.
Please stand, if you're able, for the raising of the flags and the Australian National Anthem.
Australia's Federation Guard! National salute! Present! Arms!
Australians, oh let us rejoice, for we are one and free.
An aerial treat now, a fly past of number 2 Squadron's E-7A Wedgetail.
The aircraft is captained by Flight Lieutenant Sam Payne, and he sends a shout out to his son Harry, who turns 2 tomorrow. Today, the 2 co-pilots, Flight Lieutenant Phil Kirby, who sends a shout out to his partner Lauren, and Flying Officer Robert Stevenson, who sends a shout out to Jet and to Peter.
The E-7A Wedgetail provides Australia with one of the most advanced airspace battle management capabilities in the world. The Wedgetail's ability to coordinate a joint air, sea and land battle in real time significantly increases the effectiveness of the Australian Defence Force.
And of course we can see the aircraft approaching now.
Well, that was a treat. We just thought we'd better just put the icing on the cake with the Royal Australian Air Force's E-7A Wedgetail. Perfect way to grace the skies this morning, courtesy of number 2 Squadron, based at Williamtown near Newcastle. Please take your seats. And thank you so much to the Luminescence Children's Choir for that lovely performance. I think we should give them a round of applause. Thank you also to our volunteer flag bearers who are instrumental in today's ceremony. And of course, thanks to the Royal Australian Air Force. I now invite you to direct your attention to Regatta Point for the traditional gesture of peace, friendship and trust that is the 21-gun salute. And a reminder, this part of the ceremony is quite loud and can be uncomfortable for those with sensory issues. The noise can also startle animals, especially dogs. So please ensure yours is safe and secure if you have an animal here today.
Amongst our Australian national flag bearers today was 2024 Australian of the Year Professor Georgina Long AO and Professor Richard Scolyer AO, whose work has saved thousands of lives from melanoma, known as Australia's national cancer.
Generously providing their support today for the 21-gun salute is the 9th Regiment Royal Australian Artillery, with 22 members over at Regatta Point. Each gun is manned by 5 personnel.
You know, I was very fortunate in December, along with my colleagues, to watch a number of our sons and daughters graduate from the Royal Military College of Duntroon. And of course, my daughter is now spending the next 2 years in regimental training with the Artillery Regiment down in South Australia.
When you joined 40 years ago, Georgina, did you ever imagine you'd be seeing such a sight?
No, I didn't, but so proud of the next generation of Australian leaders serving our country.
I imagine standing out here, and it must be a huge honour to be able to be out there and have the Governor-General come and inspect and see you in your full military dress on a day like today.
Absolutely, and look how proud those young defence members appear, watching the parade, being part of it, talking to the Governor-General this morning, listening to that beautiful choir, and now with the gun salute in the distance.
You weren't ever tempted to join the band yourself, Georgina?
No, slightly tone deaf, very happy to be a healthcare provider. The tradition of the gun salute originated in the early 14th century, firstly as a ceremonial method of creating noise to honour a guest, and secondly for the practical purpose of confirming the guns were empty.
In the days of muzzle-loading cannons, if a ship entering a foreign port wanted to demonstrate that it came in peace, it would fire its weapons from a safe distance. This was an action that would leave the incoming ship defenceless for a period of time, because reloading was a lengthy process. The gesture was a show of respect and a lack of hostile intentions. It was also a sign of trust that people on land or in any other vessel not to open fire on them. In time, this practice was adopted by way of honouring dignitaries on land as well.
Salutes are always fired with an odd number of rounds, as this was considered lucky. However, as you can see, they are no longer fired in one large burst of gunfire, but rather as a rolling volley, where one gun fires after another in 10-second intervals.
You mentioned earlier, Georgina, that there are 5 operators for each gun. Can you take us through those roles?
So there are 5 members for each gun, and they are very deliberate in their training as a team, as a means of ensuring synchronisation and, of course, safety.
Please stand, if you are able, as the Federation Guard and the band of the Royal Military College Duntroon are formally farewelled by the Governor-General before they leave the parade ground. And again, a reminder for members in uniform to salute and gentlemen to please remove your headdress.
On, shoulder, off. Australia's Federation Guard, Royal Salute, present, off. On, shoulder, off. Order, off.
As you take your seats, we thank Australia's Federation Guard and the band of the Royal Military College Duntroon.
Once again, the Federation Guard and the RMC Band have done an outstanding job. They should be very proud of themselves indeed, Brett.
Absolutely should be. This is Lieutenant Jamie Elter's second year on parade as second in command of Australia's Federation Guard, and he's clearly maintaining the Guard's exceptionally high standard. A self-described history buff, Jamie says highlights from his first year in the Guard include visiting and paying respect at a number of key sites which hold a great significance in Australia's military history, including as the contingent commander for Anzac Day in South Korea in 2024.
That would have been an incredibly proud moment for him. This year, Jamie will serve as the Guard's Operation Officer, and in that role, he will be responsible for the coordination of all the AFG tasks. This includes allocating personnel, transport, accommodation, ammunition, and of course, timings, which sounds like a mammoth job and one I'm sure he will complete with aplomb. In 2025, Jamie says he's looking forward to travelling to new parts of Australia and engaging with the locals. And how smart and professional do they look there on the screen? The band of the Royal Military College was founded in 1916 on a part-time basis, composed from volunteers drawn from the riding staff. It was only in 1954 that the band was officially established, and in 1968 when it became part of the Australian Army Band Corps.
The band has been a regular fixture on the local music scene for well over 6 decades, entertaining Canberrans and raising money for local charities through series such as Music at Midday at the Canberra Theatre and its biannual concert spectaculars at Llewellyn Hall. The band performs well in excess of 300 tasks each year.
The RMC band has a wide range of musical capabilities through a range of ensembles, including a rock band, as well as a Dixie band known as the Steamboat Stompers.
As the RMC's band musical director, Major Douglas Hall, leads some of those ensembles, and he also has a number of other ensemble leaders within the band who he mentors and trains.
Just brilliant. Oh, I would now like to invite to the stage the chair of the National Australia Day Council, musical director, pianist and composer, Mr. John Foreman, AM.
Your Excellencies, the Honourable Sam Mostyn AC, Governor-General, and Mr. Simeon Beckett, the Honourable Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister, and Ms. Jodie Hayden, Federal Government Ministers, Senator the Honourable Katie Gallagher, the Honourable Patrick Gorman, and Federal Member of Parliament David Smith, Her Excellency Betty Pavlish, Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, and other members of the Diplomatic Corps with us here this morning. Representing the ACT Chief Minister, Michael Pedersen, MLA, ACT Opposition Leader, Leanne Carsley, MLA, Chief of the Defence Force, senior defence personnel, distinguished guests, and Australians one and all. Well, that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much indeed. I would like to thank Uncle Warren Daly for welcoming us to country. My respects to you, Uncle Warren, and to your family. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land upon which we meet and pay my respects to elders past and present, and extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here in Canberra and watching us around Australia as well. And as we gather here in Canberra this morning, wonderful things are starting to happen all around Australia, from smoking ceremonies and welcomes to country, to community barbecues, fireworks displays, multicultural musical performances, pool parties, community cricket matches, bush tucker tasting, storytelling, the celebration of local community heroes, and even the odd thong throwing competition. Of course, these community gatherings are really what it's all about. People from different backgrounds coming together to reflect, respect, and celebrate. To celebrate how lucky we are to live in this beautiful country. To respect the fact that Australia is home to the world's oldest continuous living culture. And to reflect on some of the bigger questions. What does Australia mean to you? What does being Australian mean to us? What's the Australian character, the Australian spirit? Are we the big, beautiful, friendly country with community-mindedness, tenacity, and generosity at our core? If you need any help answering those questions, I would simply draw your attention to our Australians of the Year. As Chair of the National Australia Day Council, it is my great honour to have the opportunity to learn about so many incredible Australians in every state and territory of our country. So on behalf of the National Australia Day Council, I'd like to thank and congratulate all of the state and territory nominees for the Australian of the Year Awards, and in particular to Dr. Katrina Ruck, our Young Australian of the Year, brilliant scientist, groundbreaking innovator and inventor. Our Senior Australian of the Year, Brother Thomas Ollie Pickett AM, who has changed the lives of thousands of people around the world with the Wheelchairs for Kids project. Our local heroes, Vanessa Brettel and Hannah Costello, for providing fantastic employment opportunities to women from disadvantaged backgrounds. And to our Australian of the Year, Neil Danaher, who's represented by his wife Jan here this morning. I hope he's watching us on TV this morning. What else can I say about Neil Danaher that hasn't been said already? This champion Australian, just I guess suffice to say on behalf of the National Australia Day Council and on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you, congratulations, and you make us feel proud to be Australian. Please join me in thanking all of our Australians of the Year this year. And we're celebrating 65 years of the Australian of the Year Awards, and as we look back over 65 years, it's a great chance for us to reflect upon how these awards have shone a light on great Australian citizens. And of course, speaking of Australian citizens, we are about to welcome some more Australian citizens around the country today. In fact, in just a few moments, the Prime Minister himself will be conferring citizenship upon our conferees here in Canberra. So to everyone who's becoming an Australian citizen today, all across the country, on behalf of the National Australia Day Council, congratulations, welcome, and thank you for choosing to call Australia home. Now, of course, the work of the National Australia Day Council would not be possible without some wonderful support, with more than 700 events happening across the country today, in major capital cities, in rural and remote communities, and everywhere in between. I'd like to thank the Prime Minister and Minister Gorman and the government for their very strong support of the National Australia Day Council, and by extension, the many, many events that are happening around Australia today. Thank you to the Department of Home Affairs, the Department of Health and Aged Care, the Australian Government Office for Youth, the ABC, Australian Community Media, Crown Plaza Hotel, the Australian National University, the National Museum of Australia, and Minter Ellison. So wherever you are around the country today, or wherever you're joining us from across the globe, I hope you have a happy, safe, and enjoyable Australia Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Today, thousands of people will make the pledge of commitment and become Australian citizens. Heartfelt ceremonies will be held right across the country, hosted by local councils and community organisations. In our nation's capital, 24 people will soon take that same pledge. And as John let you know, to officiate over the proceedings, would you please join me in welcoming the Prime Minister of Australia, the Honourable Anthony Albanese, MP.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Australia Day. And I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting, and I pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, to the Governor-General, Your Excellency Sam Mostyn, AC, to Simeon Beckett, to Minister Katie Gallagher, who's had her title added. She's now Minister for Finance, Minister for Government Services, Minister for the Public Service and Minister for the Status of Women, and importantly here in Canberra, Senator for the ACT, to Honourable Patrick Gorman, MP, the Minister assisting the Prime Minister, who has responsibility for events such as this. Thank you so much for the work that you do. To other distinguished guests, including the Chief of the Defence Force, Admiral Johnson, it is wonderful to have also so many members of the diplomatic corps represented here this morning. My fellow Australians, can I in particular welcome the 24 of you who took your seats as citizens of Brazil, France, Germany, India, Nigeria, the Philippines, South Africa, the United States, Sri Lanka and Vietnam, but will leave here as our fellow Australians. It is an honour to share this moment with you and your loved ones. You will always remember this Australia Day, your first day as an Australian citizen. Today, in our big cities and towns, at beaches and backyard barbecues, and in over 280 ceremonies just like this one, we celebrate everything that brings Australia together and everything that sets our nation apart from the world. We look back on all that we have built together and all that we have learned from each other. And we look to the future with the optimism and determination that the Australian people bring to the life of our nation each and every day. The very first one of these ceremonies took place right here in Canberra in 1949. Not where we gather today, because 76 years ago this lake was still just an idea. The Australian War Memorial had been open for only 7 years. The Australians who'd served in the First World War and whose bravery and sacrifice had inspired its construction were in their 50s and 60s. And the veterans of the Second World War were young men readjusting to civilian life. In this and countless other ways, it was a different Australia in a very different world. Yet the 7 people who received their citizenship on that day, 76 years ago, the more than 6 million who have followed, and all of you who will join us as Australians today, we all belong to the same proud story. We are all part of a nation built by hope and hard work, aspiration and determination. A democracy where every citizen counts themselves as equal. A society where your character counts for more than your name, where your hard work matters more than where you come from, where we measure ourselves by the care we extend to the most vulnerable and the fair go we offer for all. A nation that has been enriched by people of every faith, background and tradition, from the unique privilege that we have of sharing this oldest continent with the world's oldest continuous culture, to the multicultural society we've built, where everyone has the right to be proud of who they are, to worship how they choose, and to live in peace and safety side by side. That is the legacy of previous generations. It is the nation you are joining, and it is a responsibility all of us owe to future generations. To safeguard our social cohesion, to uphold Australian fairness and continue Australia's progress. At that very first ceremony, Prime Minister Ben Chifley said to Australia's newest citizens, "You have come to a country in which great opportunities will present themselves. You have come to a country where democracy is not just a platitude, but something which is practiced. Through a world of change, the truth of those words endures. This remains a country of great opportunities ready to be seized, and we remain a democracy where every citizen holds the same rights and shares in the same responsibility. Because whether we are born Australian or we choose to become Australian, citizenship is a commitment that all of us make to each other. Today, your talent and skill, your enterprise and drive, your hopes for the future join this great national endeavour. On Australia Day, let us celebrate the privilege we have to live in the greatest country on earth. And together, let us seize the opportunity to make it even better in the future. Thank you. We now turn to the formal part of the citizenship ceremony, which is conducted in accordance with the Australian Citizenship Act 2007. As part of the legal requirements for the citizenship ceremony, I will read the preamble from Schedule 1 of the Australian Citizenship Regulation 2016. Australian citizenship represents full and formal membership of the community of the Commonwealth of Australia. And Australian citizenship is a common bond involving reciprocal rights and obligations, uniting all Australians while respecting their diversity. Persons on whom Australian citizenship is conferred enjoy these rights and undertake to accept these obligations by pledging loyalty to Australia and its people, by sharing their democratic beliefs, by respecting their rights and liberties, and by upholding and obeying the laws of Australia. It is now your turn to make the pledge of commitment. Today you will be reciting the Australian Citizenship Pledge. There are two pledge options, Pledge 1 and Pledge 2. Pledge 1 has the word "under God" in the first line, whereas Pledge 2 does not. The words "under God" are optional. I will read the pledge with the words "under God." You do not need to repeat these words if you do not wish to do so. I would now like to ask everyone who is becoming an Australian citizenship today to please stand if you are able to recite the pledge. If you would like to hold a holy book, please do so now. Please repeat your preferred pledge line by line after me. From this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Congratulations. Please join me in welcoming our new citizens.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister. I'd ask you to stay on the stage, if I may, because you're going to be handing out some certificates to our brand new Australians. Congratulations to you all. Let's get some extra people on the stage. I'd like to welcome Uncle Warren Daly back to the stage. To mark this occasion, Senior Ngunnawal Knowledge Holder Richie Allen has handcrafted cultural items which are used within Ngunnawal culture to announce your arrival to a place. With assistance from proud Yorta Yorta and Wemba Wemba man Damien Coke, Uncle Warren will give these gifts to our conferees in recognition of their official arrival as Australian citizens. Also assisting today is Chris Kilby from the Department of Home Affairs. Now, Chris is part of the Indigenous Apprenticeship Program and will help with the certificates. New citizens, as I call your name, to please come forward and receive your certificate and pause for a photograph with the Prime Minister and Uncle Warren. First up is the Alozi Chidi family. Chidi, Favour, Precious, Emmanuel and Veronica.
We're from the southern part of Nigeria. We came to Australia in 2018 as international students.
Becoming an Australian citizen, it has been a very wonderful, beautiful journey with different people, beautiful people, nice people, kind people.
It's taken us about 6.5 years to get to this point, and for me, it's awesome. I will celebrate my Australian Day as a citizen of Australia.
Welcome, Emmanuel. And up the top there, see where they're waving.
Cameras there.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well done.
Congratulations to the Alozi Chidi family. Up next, please welcome Flora Dale.
I came from Brazil. I moved to Canberra to study at CIT, childcare. Then I met my husband and still here. My biggest dream was to have a family, to have children. We had Sophia. Lucas arrived 3 years after. My family here, they are all Australians and I wasn't. The citizenship, it means that I finally am joining officially the crew.
Congratulations, Flora. Next, Felix Weiss.
I come from the south of Germany. I came to Australia 7 years ago for a fellowship at the CSIRO and then fell in love with the country and decided to stay. I'm living here together with my partner Lauren, who is an Australian, and our adopted greyhound Larry. I really like the laid-back attitude of Australians and the really excellent coffee culture. The journey to citizenship was long and challenging, to be honest, but at the end, rewarding.
Congratulations, Felix, and welcome. Please welcome the Enriquez Galut family, Vincent, Vince, Sian, and Mayan.
Me and my family were born and raised in the Philippines. I came work to Australia in 2017 to work as a palbira. Then after a year, my wife followed me here. And then 2021, my two kids followed us here. So we can be united family here in Australia. Becoming an Australian citizen means a lot to us. Being part of the community, we're happy and we're complete.
Congratulations to the Enriquez Galuts. Next, please welcome Kausihan Elankumaran.
I was born in Sri Lanka. I moved to Australia in 2018 to pursue my PhD because I knew Australia was an excellent place for research and innovation. I'm a research fellow in space engineering. I'm engaged in the research on spaceflight mechanics. Becoming an Australian citizen means becoming a part of a society that's friendly, fair, and helpful. I hope my future research helps propel Australia's journey in space. Yes, I'm looking forward to my contributions in that regard.
Congratulations, Kausihan. And now, please welcome the Huang family, Phuong, Bak, and Hui.
We are from north part of Vietnam. We came to Australia to pursue our master degrees. We love Australia and we decided to stay.
We've been lucky enough to live in a few different parts of Australia. 5 years in Melbourne, 4 years in Alice Springs, and over 2 years now in Canberra.
Our journey to Australian citizenship is one of the best journey in my life.
Now we look down there and then look up the top.
It's not every day you get directed by the Prime Minister when taking photographs. But what an honour. Congratulations to the Huang family. Up next, please welcome Emilia Bouteye.
I'm obviously from France. You could have guessed with my accent. I initially came to Australia for holidays. What became a short trip is now a 10 years long journey. My favorite thing about Australia is the people. I'd say it means a lot to become Australian. I never thought I would be here 10 years later. My daughter is Australian, and I just want to be part of the journey with her. And now I get to be part of the community and society as well.
Welcome, Emilio. Up next, please welcome the Purcell Harden family. This is Michael, Luke, Kira, and Danielle.
I'm from the United States originally, was born in Salt Lake City.
We actually went to the same high school together.
We originally came to Australia in 2015, and we've been here ever since.
Well, since coming to Australia, I've started beekeeping, and it's been a wonderful experience. And you've got quite the hobby.
I'm a musician, so I play cornet. And then I do tabletop game design as a hobby where I make my own board games. I'd say that our journey to Australian citizenship has been one of joining a new community, and we really have found that this is our new home.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Congratulations to the Purcell Harden family. Up next, please welcome the Viswanathan Saravanan family, Deepak, Nathila and Divyatharina. Tharini, I should say. My apologies.
My husband Deepak and myself, we were born in India.
I came to pursue my master's here, Master's in Civil Engineering.
I happened to study in the University of Newcastle, and then I met Deepak. Just right before my daughter was born, we moved to Canberra, and since then we've been living here for 4 years now. She's the only person who doesn't feel very cold. I think she's the only one who is like so used to the Canberra weather. Becoming an Australian citizen is a big privilege for us. We get to be part of everything now. We just love being here. Being an Australian citizen is all what we want.
Oh, just the cutest. I'll just see if we can up. Oh, wait.
Like that.
Yeah.
Perfect. She thought you were picking citizenship then.
Don't take this away from me.
And if you look up the top where they're waving.
Oh, congratulations. Let's give him another round of applause for being the absolute cutest. Welcome. And finally, please now welcome Amber Wilson.
I was born in South Africa. I moved to Australia about 6 years ago. I was in a long-distance relationship with my now husband, so I moved to be together. Since moving to Australia, we got married, and then we bought a house, and we got a dog, and we got a baby. Kind of my biggest life achievements so far have all been since moving to Australia. So I think I'm ready to become a citizen.
Congratulations, Amber, and welcome to Australia, and to all of you, welcome as new citizens here today. Please join me in thanking the Prime Minister, Uncle Warren Daly, and Chris Kilby from the Department of Home Affairs. And thanks Damo Coke as well. Cheers. One of the wonderful aspects of citizenship ceremonies is the opportunity for Australian citizens to affirm their commitment to the country. The Australian Citizenship Affirmation was introduced in 1999. The words of the affirmation are based on the pledge that we've just witnessed our new citizens make, but it's voluntary and carries no legal status. If you would like to participate in the affirmation, you are expressing your support for the values and principles that underpin Australian citizenship, and it's just one way that you can share this special event with our newest citizens. To lead us in the affirmation, I'm delighted to welcome to the stage the Governor-General of Australia.
Good morning, everybody. On this glorious day in Canberra, and to all of those around the country watching this wonderful ceremony, Happy Australia Day, where we reflect, respect and celebrate. As others have done, of course, I acknowledge that today we gather on the lands of the traditional custodians, the Ngunnawal people, and recognise any other people or families with connections to the lands of the ACT and surrounding areas. I pay my respects to their elders past and present. And I extend that respect to all the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people with us here so importantly today. The Honourable Anthony Albanese MP, Prime Minister of Australia, and Ms Jodie Hayden. Her Excellency, Ms Betty Pavlich, Ambassador of the Republic of Croatia and Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, and of course the members of the Diplomatic Corps who join us here today. The Honourable Patrick Gorman MP, Assistant Minister to the Prime Minister, Senator the Honourable Katie Gallagher, and members of the federal and state parliaments. Admiral David Johnston, ACRAN, Chief of the Australian Defence Force, and the many representatives of Australia's Defence Force here today. Mr Michael Peterson, representing the ACT Chief Minister, Mr John Foreman, AM Chair, and the staff of the National Australia Day Council, Australians of the year 2025 and all of the alumni, distinguished guests, and of course our most distinguished guests here today are our most recently welcomed, our new Australian citizens, those who've just pledged their allegiance to Australia in that wonderful ceremony. Welcome to you all. I'm so very proud to be here with you today. It's a special joy for me because it's my first Australia Day to be celebrated as your Governor-General, and so I'm so honoured to be here at this important ceremony. Here on the shores of Lake Burley, Griffin, Australia's story is etched in our nation's capital, in our nation's institutions, the flags that fly above us and that were so beautifully lifted before in ceremony, and the people together today who share this moment with us. It is a story that Australians will reflect on across our big country today, as you've heard from the Prime Minister. Ours is a story of deep history and vibrant modernity. A story that you now know emerges as the three strong and intersecting elements of 65,000 years of continuous Indigenous culture shared so generously with us as a nation. Our democracy and stable institutions of government, and our most recent history of success, optimism, belonging and progress made possible by over half a century of remarkable multiculturalism, just as we've witnessed with the newest Australians today. Today, all of you as Australian citizens will weave your chapter into our nation's great story with so much more to come. Now, last night, as you know, the Australian of the Year awards were announced. And I just want to say to Brother Ollie, Dr. Katina, Vanessa and Hannah, and of course Neil, who's represented here today by his wife Jan, that we are so enormously proud of all of you and all of the finalists who we celebrated last night. And I wanted to share with us today that we had the great delight, Simeon and I, to host all of the alumni of our wonderful Australians of the Year right back to 1967, only 7 years after the awards were first made in 1960. And in welcoming all of the finalists and the 2024 winners, the previous winners, and all of those that had come before, I wanted to search for the collective noun on behalf of all Australians for the Australians of the Year alumni. And after much debate, we decided and shared with the alumni that the collective noun for our Australians of the Year is a gift of Australians of the Year, a gift to the nation, an enduring gift to all of us because of all that they represent in the values, the characteristics and the hopes for Australia. So I hope you think that's a good collective noun for all of those that have won Australian of the Year awards. They are surely our gift. And among them, many of them that have been recognised before, along with those just recognised today, and those that you'll read about who've been receiving Australia Day honours in today's list, they are people like you who've just taken citizenship. They've travelled their own paths to citizenship. In building their lives here, they embody the best of Australian character, as you will too. With an unstinting, selfless focus on care, kindness and respect, they've worked with generosity, insight and innovation to contribute to the well-being and progress of the people, places, communities, institutions and the environment, the glorious environment of Australia. And their example is one for us all to follow, as I know our newer citizens do today. So today you have become citizens and you offer Australia your care, your kindness, your compassion, your histories, your sense of purpose, your energy and your endeavour. On behalf of all Australians today, congratulations and thank you for the faith that you've placed in us and in this country and for the very rich and deep cultures that you have already shared with us but will continue to do so as Australian citizens. We welcome you into our Australian family with love, with gratitude and so much optimism for our future together, but for your futures as the families that you lead enter your time here as Australian citizens. Among its important declarations, the second line of the affirmation reads, "I affirm my loyalty to Australia and its people." Bound to each other by enduring values, we are at our very best as a nation when we are together, as we are here today. The beauty and optimism that sits at the heart of this moment of citizenship brings us all together as Australians. So, as has been indicated, this is the moment for all of us here, all of us together, to continue to build the future of our wonderful country, our home, Australia. And so now, I'd like to invite everyone who is able and wants to stand and join me in reciting the affirmation. The words are in your program, and once you are ready, I'll ask you to repeat after me line by line. As an Australian citizen, I affirm my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I obey and uphold. Thank you, everybody. You've now made the wonderful affirmation, all of us together with the newest citizens. Congratulations to our newest citizens. Thank you to those of us that came as citizens. Happy Australia Day.
Thank you, Governor-General. And I'd like to take this opportunity as well to once again congratulate our newest citizens. Would you all please be seated? Relax. It's all done, and this is the fun bit now. We all get to celebrate. I'd like to acknowledge as well some exemplary citizens among us, and that is our past and recent recipients of the Australian of the Year Awards. The members of our gift of Australians of the Year, you might say. So I'd like to acknowledge Jan Danaher, representing this year's Australian of the Year, Neil Danaher AO. Also, Young Australian of the Year, Dr. Katrina Ruck. Australia's local heroes Vanessa Brettel and Hannah Costello. And Senior Australian of the Year, Brother Thomas Oliver Pickett, AM. Thank you for joining us and congratulations. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the Mugara dancers to complete this morning's ceremony. Meaning lightning or storm in the Ugambi language, Mugara shares Mingjungbol culture with the community through world-class performances. Please join me in welcoming the Mugara dancers.
Walla walla nya, guai, lunga wa malaya, popanda dalo, yamgiri ngana dimala, dimana nalanya, wangiri woman bani, guai, chup, walla nya, guai, lunga wa malaya, popanda dalo. Yam getting on a Dimala, Dimana Nalanya, Young Giddy Wangan Bani, go away, Yo, how, yeah. Yo! Hawa, 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 hawa. Jingiri wala wala yamalele. The first ceremony we conducted was a welcome into a cleansing ceremony. We do this dance at particular ceremonies, such as this, to cleanse the area, to get rid of any negative feelings or spirits that may want to linger around us, cleansing it and giving us all safe passage to get on our travels. So we welcome you here. All we ask is that now that you're one of us, is that you take care of this country much as we did since the first sunrise. We're going to conduct a few songs and dances for you now. When we do songs and dances, or kanjil in my language, this is a way of passing down knowledge. We never wrote things down. We've done it through dance, art, or verbally. This next song and dance is called Juan Wagan. And Juan Wagan is about the men, women, and children going down to the freshwater area of my country, up in Tweed there, hunting the eel-tail catfish and the jewfish, or what we call wagan, or jalam. The men would cast stones in the water, scaring the fish away from their hiding spots. They would then get their billas and start spearing those fish. The women, they would use the oils from the eucalypt to make the fish come up from the water and chuck out their wagai, their fish nets. This one here, Juan Wagan. Ananayamalea Juan Wagan. Ananayamalea Juan Wagan. Ananayamalea Juan Wagan. Ananayamalea Juan Wagan. Ananayamalele Wagan Wagan. Ananayamalele Wagan Wagan. La 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 la. Ananayamalele Wagan Wagan. Ananayamalele Wagan Wagan. La 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 la. Wagan, 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 wagan. Johan, 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 Johan. Johan Mala. Yo! Hawa, 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 hawa.
Wow. Please join me in continuing the applause to thank the Mugara for that powerful performance. And I'd like to thank everyone for joining us for the 2025 National Citizenship and Flag Raising Ceremony. Australia Day resonates differently for everyone and provides an opportunity for us to acknowledge these diverse perspectives. It is our shared responsibility to build bridges of understanding, to strengthen ties that unite us, and it's our responsibility to reject the forces in the world that divide us, because we are always stronger together. And in that way, we can ensure this day reflects not just where we've been, but where we can go, hand in hand, towards a more connected and inclusive Australia. Sometimes when we look around the world right now, we see division and we see hate. But days like today makes me so proud to be an Australian. Welcome to our new conferees and have a happy Australia Day 2025.